We've now moved on to the fifth step in the project process. It's at this point that the original requester will need to look at the estimate for the design and approve or reject that. After the initial requester has provided their approval, it will end up going up a chain through the cost center, up to department heads, and possibly as far as the president, depending on the amount of funding required for the design. So up here at the top in our submitter section, you can see that we do have a little indicator showing us that something is awaiting our approval. So here is our list of anything that, as a requester, is requiring our approval. So we can go ahead and tap on that item there and go to the approve or reject. So you can see that here in the middle section under estimates, we have a design estimate of $240,000. So if we reject this, all we need to do is enter some notes about why we're rejecting it. For example, maybe this is much more than we were expecting. However, if we are going to approve this, we then need to enter design funding. So we need to actually specify where the funds are going to come from for this design estimate. So let's go ahead and begin that process. So here we have a fairly simple form that requires us to enter a cost center, specify whether we are going to be paying the full amount out of that cost center or a partial amount, as well as some comments. So let's go ahead and we will select a cost center. So let's just go ahead and select one at random. And we have the option of entering some comments, or we can just skip that. However, we also do have the ability to specify that we're only going to pay part of the cost from this cost center. Let's go ahead and do that. So we'll specify that we have $120,000 that will come from the research cost center. So we can hit save. That will return us to our approval form. And if we try to move ahead from here and just hit save, you'll see that we get a warning telling us that basically we have not provided enough funding yet. So the design estimate is $240,000. We have only specified $120,000 so far. So let's go ahead and add an additional funding source. And again, we'll just specify a different cost center at random here. And this time, instead of selecting partial, let's just leave it on full. And if we hit save and return to our funding form here, if we try to move ahead at this point, we will also get a warning. So if the amount of funding provided is significantly higher than the design estimate that was provided, we will also get a warning. Note that it is possible to continue, just like it was possible to continue with insufficient funding. We can continue here with surplus funding by just hitting OK. But let's actually just hit cancel. We'll come back here and let's change this number to match what is actually still required. So instead of full amount, we'll say partial, and let's change that to also $120,000. So if we then return back here, we now have two different funding sources, both of which are $120,000, which does add up to $240,000. So as a requester, our work is now done with the design approval.